Welcome to our deep dive into the world of trust and transparency.
Yeah.
We've got some really fascinating research and real-world examples to unpack today,
Yeah.
pulled from Dov Seidman's work and a couple other interesting articles.
Right.
So get ready for some aha moments as we explore why trust is so crucial in
Mhm.
today's world and how you can actually use these concepts to thrive.
What's fascinating to me is how the information age has completely changed the game when it comes to trust.
Uh-huh.
We've moved from a world where we relied on traditional proxies for trust.
Mm-hmm.
Things like big name brands,
Right.
expert opinions, or like institutions with fancy credentials.
It used to be all about appearances, right?
Yeah,
Like if a product had a really expensive price tag, it meant
exactly.
that it must be good.
Exactly.
Or if a celebrity endorsed something, we automatically trusted it.
Yes,
Those were like the old markers of trustworthiness.
exactly. But the internet has blown up those traditional proxies.
Yeah.
Information spreads so rapidly now that those old signals just don't carry the same weight anymore.
And we've seen this play out in so many ways.
Yeah.
Remember that kryptonite bike lock debacle?
Oh, yeah, that was a pivotal moment.
Where a single blog post revealed a major design flaw,
Yeah.
and just like that, their reputation for security was gone.
Yeah. I mean, kryptonite was like the gold standard for
Right.
bike locks, but this blogger showed how easily their locks could be picked
Yeah.
with a simple pen, and the news went viral, and kryptonite's carefully crafted image was shattered.
Right.
What's so striking about that is just how quickly this information spread.
Yeah.
Traditional media outlets amplified the story, forcing kryptonite to scramble into damage control mode.
That one blog post completely changed the game.
Totally.
It's a stark reminder that in today's world, companies can no longer control the narrative.
Yeah.
Their reputation is now in the hands of their customers.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And this shift is happening across industries.
Yep.
Look at the movie industry, for example. It used to be all about a slow, controlled rollout.
Right.
Studios would carefully build buzz with critics' reviews, but now opening weekend is everything.
Yeah, audiences are tweeting their reactions in real time,
Right.
sharing their opinions on sites like IMDb, and
Yeah.
it's the market, not the studio, that decides whether a movie is a hit or a flop.
That's right. It's the power of authentic firsthand experiences.
Right. Sure.
We're much more likely to trust someone's review on Yelp or Amazon than a polished marketing campaign.
Right. So how does all this connect back to you as the listener?
Yeah.
Think about the last time you made a big purchase or chose a service provider.
Yeah.
Did you automatically trust the brand name or the expert opinions?
Right.
Or were you more swayed by online reviews and recommendations from friends?
The takeaway here is that trust is no longer something that's just given.
Yeah.
It's earned, and it's earned through transparency and authentic engagement.
Okay, so we've seen how the landscape of trust has changed.
Mm-hmm.
But what's really interesting is that we can actually put a dollar value
Yeah.
on trust now. It's no longer just a warm and fuzzy feeling.
Right. And research has shown that trust directly impacts a company's bottom line. Take this groundbreaking study by Bayer and Chu.
Okay.
They looked at automakers and their suppliers,
Mm-hmm.
and they found that companies with low trust had 6 times higher procurement costs.
6 times higher. Wow.
Yeah, imagine all the extra time, energy, and money
Right.
spent on negotiating contracts, monitoring for compliance, and dealing with disputes.
Yeah,
A huge drain on resources.
totally.
And the study also found that these low-trust companies were also the least profitable.
Huh.
All that friction and lack of trust really eats away at the bottom line. But here's where things get really interesting. Strong legal systems and regulations can actually foster trust and economic growth.
Wait, so more rules equal more trust?
Yeah.
That seems kind of counterintuitive. How does that work?
Think of it like traffic signals.
Oh.
They might seem restrictive, but they actually create predictability and allow everyone to move more efficiently.
Gotcha.
Clear rules and regulations in business work the same way.
Okay.
They level the playing field, reduce uncertainty, and make it easier to collaborate and take risks. It's not about having no rules. It's about having the right rules
Right.
that encourage ethical behavior and build confidence.
So if you're negotiating a raise or starting your own business, having that foundation of trust
Right.
can make a huge difference.
Absolutely. When people trust you, doors open more easily, deals get done faster, opportunities multiply. But building trust in today's world requires a different approach, especially when it comes to transparency. This brings us to a really fascinating concept, active transparency.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Let's dive into that. Active transparency. What exactly does that look like in practice? Is it like going above and beyond simply being honest when asked?
That's a great way to put it. Active transparency is about making a conscious choice to be open, even when you don't have to be. It's not just about damage control or avoiding trouble. It's actually a really powerful tool for building trust and creating real success.
Okay, so can you give me like a real world example of this?
Absolutely. Let's look at what happened with TriWest Healthcare Alliance back in 2002.
Okay.
They had a major data breach when 2 laptops containing very sensitive personal information were stolen from their offices.
Oh, wow. That sounds like a public relations nightmare.
It could have been.
Yeah. I can only imagine the pressure to like downplay the situation.
Right.
Yeah.
But instead of trying to sweep it under the rug, their CEO, David McIntyre, took a very different approach. He went public immediately, apologized for the breach, explained clearly what happened, and what steps they were taking to protect their customers.
That's a really bold move. I think a lot of companies would have been tempted to, contain the situation and avoid the negative publicity.
Sure, but McIntyre's proactive transparency is what made it so effective. By taking responsibility and being upfront with their customers, TriWest actually earned trust. People saw that they were genuinely committed to doing the right thing.
So it sounds like active transparency is about more than just like disclosing information when you're forced to. It's about choosing to be vulnerable, owning your mistakes, and showing that you're genuinely committed to acting in everyone's best interest.
Exactly.
Right.
And this principle applies even in our personal interactions. Think about job interviews, for instance.
Yeah.
It's tempting to present a perfectly polished version of yourself, highlighting your strengths and downplaying any weaknesses.
Oh, yeah. I think we've all been there.
Sure.
It's natural to want to like put your best foot forward.
Of course.
Right? Emphasize your accomplishments.
Right. But what if you tried a different approach?
Okay.
What if, instead of trying to hide your flaws, you were upfront about areas where you'd like to grow?
I'm curious. Is there like an example that illustrates this approach?
There's a great story about a guy named Sig, who was interviewing for Harvard Med School.
Okay.
During his interview, the dean pointed out that Sig's grades weren't exactly stellar.
Ooh.
Now, most people in that situation would get defensive or try to make excuses,
Right.
but Sig simply said, "So have I," acknowledging his shortcomings without dwelling on them.
Wow. I can see how that kind of honesty would be like refreshing.
Yeah,
Did it impress the dean?
it absolutely did.
Mm.
Sig's response showed self-awareness, honesty, and a genuine desire to improve. He wasn't trying to be someone he wasn't. He was just being authentic, and that really stood out. His vulnerability became a strength.
That's incredible. It really challenges that whole idea of having to project a perfect image.
Right.
It seems like in today's world, authenticity is a superpower.
I completely agree.
Hmm.
Consumers are more discerning than ever. They can see through marketing spin and empty promises. They're looking for genuine connection and transparency. This is true for individuals and companies alike.
This has been really eye-opening.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to ask, I'm convinced about the benefits of transparency, but don't we still need like rules and safeguards?
Yeah.
Especially in a world where not everyone plays by the rules.
Of course. You're right. It's not about throwing caution to the wind and trusting blindly.
Right.
It's about striking a balance.
Yeah.
And this is where the concept of trust but verify comes in.
Ah, the Reagan approach. I like it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about starting with a foundation of trust, but also having systems in place to monitor and address any breaches of that trust.
Okay.
A good example is how companies handle employee expense reports.
Ugh, expense reports.
Right.
So much paperwork, so many approvals needed
Yeah.
for every little thing. It can be a real pain.
Right. But what if instead of all that bureaucracy,
Well,
you said to your employees, look, we trust you to be honest.
okay.
Fill out your reports accurately, and we'll reimburse you quickly and without hassle.
So you're starting with like a baseline of trust and giving employees the benefit of the doubt.
That's the key. You're communicating that you value their integrity.
Okay.
But here's the crucial part. You also implement random checks.
Oh.
Not to micromanage everyone, but to ensure accountability and maintain the system's integrity.
It sounds like this approach could actually simplify things. Instead of like bogging everyone down with
Yes.
all these tedious procedures, you focus on building trust
Exactly.
and only intervene when there's like a reason to.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
A little bit of verification goes a long way.
Yeah.
It helps reinforce trust for everyone, and it allows you to address any breaches effectively without punishing the entire group for the actions of one individual.
This makes so much sense. You're demonstrating that, like, trust is a two-way street. That's something that you offer freely, but you also expect it in return.
Exactly. And when a breach does occur, addressing it swiftly and directly reinforces the system's fairness. It shows that you're serious about maintaining that culture of trust and accountability.
This has given me a lot to think about.
Yeah?
It's really made me rethink my whole approach to trust, like both personally and professionally.
Yeah.
But before we move on, I have another question. We've talked about the value of trust and the importance of transparency.
Yeah.
But how do we actually measure trust? It seems like such an intangible concept.
Right. Yeah. That's a great question. Trust can, it can feel pretty intangible, but it actually has a very real and measurable impact. And that's where reputation comes in.
That's right. Your reputation is essentially the outward expression of trust. It's what people say about you, the stories they share, the judgments they make. It's like the currency of trust. The stronger your reputation, the more valuable you become.
So it's not just about having a good image. It's about,
Yeah.
Consistently demonstrating trustworthiness and having that reflected in how others perceive you.
Exactly. And in a world where information spreads so rapidly, reputation is more important than ever. Think back to the kryptonite lock example.
That one blog post shared widely online completely undermined their reputation for security in a matter of days.
Yeah, it's amazing how a single negative incident can have such a huge impact. It really highlights the fragility of reputation in the digital age.
It's true. But it also highlights the power of a strong reputation.
Yeah.
When you consistently act with integrity and transparency, you build a reservoir of trust that can help you weather storms and emerge even stronger.
It's like an insurance policy against future crises.
Mhm.
A good reputation acts as a buffer, giving you the benefit of the doubt when things go wrong.
Yeah. And it's not just about managing risk.
Right.
A strong reputation attracts opportunities, talent, and loyal customers. Think about companies like Patagonia or Tall Shoes. They've built their brands on a foundation of ethical practices and social responsibility.
Right.
And people are willing to pay a premium for their products because they trust those companies to do the right thing.
It seems like they've tapped into like a deeper level of trust that goes beyond just the quality of their products.
Right.
They've aligned their business practices with their values.
Yes.
And that resonates with customers who share those values.
Exactly. They're not just selling products, they're selling a set of beliefs. And that builds a really powerful connection with their audience.
Yeah.
This is what sets truly exceptional individuals and companies apart. It's not just about profit, it's about building a lasting legacy of trust and integrity.
That's inspiring. It shows that trust is not just a business strategy, it's a way of life. But for those of us who want to cultivate a more trustworthy reputation, where do we even begin?
Well, it starts with making a conscious effort to align your actions with your values, be consistent in your behavior, operate with transparency, and always strive to do what's right, even when no one's watching. People notice these things, and your reputation will reflect the choices you make.
It sounds like building trust is an ongoing process. A commitment to showing up authentically and acting with integrity in every interaction.
That's it, exactly. It's about building that foundation brick by brick through consistent action and genuine connection.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into trust and transparency, what's the one key takeaway you want to leave our listener with?
I'd say that trust and transparency aren't just abstract concepts. They're essential ingredients for success in today's interconnected world. They're the foundation for strong relationships, thriving businesses, and a more just and equitable society.
And what's really exciting is that it all starts with each of us. The choices we make every day, the way we interact with others, the values we uphold, these all contribute to the larger tapestry of trust.
That's right. Trust is contagious. When you choose to trust others and act in a trustworthy manner, you create a ripple effect that extends far beyond yourself.
So we encourage you to think about this. What's one small step you can take today to be more transparent and trustworthy in your own interactions? It could be as simple as being more upfront with a colleague, acknowledging a mistake, or simply listening with genuine empathy. The ripple effects of that one small action could be truly incredible.
I think that's a great place to end this deep dive. Remember, building a world where trust flourishes starts with each of us.
Thanks for joining us on this exploration of trust and transparency. Until next time, keep those synapses firing.